Greetings and welcome to the Parkinson Foundation Fitness Friday video series. I'm Mindy Eisenberg, the director and founder of Yoga Moves MS. Today, we will sample an Adaptive Yoga Moves Anybody class. But first, I want to thank the Parkinson Foundation for inviting me to participate in the PD Health at Home Fitness Friday video series. Before we begin, please know your safety is our number one priority. The motto is no pain, all gain. Part of yoga is learning to be aware of the mind-body connection and how the body is communicating with us. So if you feel something that doesn't feel safe to you, please stop, take a break, pause, breathe, and then perhaps join us again. Now here I've got some props just to show you that we might use in your adaptive yoga classes. This is a yoga block, and this is a yoga strap. And you can see to the side I've got a bolster and a cane. I do use the cane as a prop, and blankets and pillows. Now you don't have to have anything fancy. You can use a strap around the house from maybe your robe or a scarf, and very often blocks can be substituted with a book or sometimes an exercise ball. So please don't feel like you have to go buy anything fancy for a yoga class. Today, most of our session will be seated. I will show a few poses standing, and you can decide whether it feels right for you to try the standing pose or to repeat the seated pose. With that, let's begin. The foundation of yoga is the breath. It's first and foremost. The postures, the poses, the figures that we make with our body, those are secondary. It's not about how the pose looks. It's about how the pose feels. It matters. What matters most is sensation. So your body is communicating with you through sensation. So let's start with what we call belly breathing, diaphragmatic breathing. We want the belly to expand on the inhale first, and then it softens back down on the exhale. Now you may take one or both of your hands to your belly, and just notice as you breathe how the belly expands and how it softens back down. You also can take your hands to your rib cage on either side. And as you breathe in, you'll feel the rib cage. It expands outward. And then as we exhale, it softens back down and inward. So what we want to feel is a low breath, meaning a belly breath, a slow breath. It's not forced. You're not pushing it or forcing it in any way. And we want the flow of air to go in and out through your nostrils. This helps to trigger our relaxation response or our parasympathetic system. Now, as we use our breathing, we can marry it with how we move. And with each movement, there's an inhale or an exhale. Let's do a sample. So as you inhale, lift your right arm, and I'm mirroring you. And then as you exhale, lower your arm back down. Let's do the other side. Left arm rises on the inhale, and as you exhale, it flows back down. And no worries if your breath isn't exactly matching the movement. As you practice, it'll become more in sync. Inhale, maybe one or both arms lift up, and you lift to your range of motion. Your elbows may be bent, or your arms may straighten as you reach your fingertips towards the sky. Relax your shoulders. Breathe in and breathe out. And let's softly spread our fingers and slowly lower the arms down by our side. On your next inhale, start to circle your shoulders around and about. So often when we begin a yoga practice, we're doing a joint freeing series first. That's to start to warm up the joints that may not have been moving in this way before we get into larger movements. And this feels really good to bring the shoulders up and around and down and forward. Notice how that feels in your shoulder girdle area. And then release. And let's turn our palms upright. Bring your thumb on the inside of the palms and circle and grasp your fingers around your thumb. So it looks like this. Then start to make circles with your knuckles. You're drawing with your knuckles and the wrists are circling around. Remembering to breathe. Inhaling and exhaling through the nose. Let's reverse the circles. And release our hands down into our lap. Now this is a fun warm-up for your fingers. It's called finger push-ups or spider push-ups. You're going to press the tips of your fingers in towards each other. So thumbs pressed, pointer fingers, middle fingers, ring fingers, and pinkies. They press into each other. It's like you're cupping your hand. And then on your exhale, press the ridges towards each other, looking like this. So fingertips press in and then ridges press in a few times. We call this finger push-ups. You can feel the strength in your hands as you press your fingers and your ridges into each other. Let the elbows relax. And let's open up the arms into a T with our palms facing upward. Relax the shoulders down your back, and you might kind of rock right and left and feel your sit bones on the chair. Take a breath in and a breath out as you lower your arms down by your side. Let's turn the head towards the right and then use your eyes to gaze even further and a little bit back behind you, as long as that feels okay for you. You can also choose to close your eyes. On your inhale, bring your head back to center. Exhale, turning towards the left. Use your eyes, even your right eye, as you gaze to the left. Breath is in, breath is out. Inhale, head back to center. We're going to take a side bend, so you might want to sit towards the edge of your chair if that feels good for you. Keep your right hand on the chair and inhale your left arm towards the sky. Now the elbow may still be bent, and that's okay. We lengthen up, relax the shoulder. You can keep your hand on the side of the chair for balance. And exhale as you side bend towards your right. Once you find your range of motion, take an inhale and an exhale and an inhale and an exhale. Feel the sensation of the stretch along the left side of your body. Inhale, open up the arm towards the side, and exhale, float it down. You might want to notice, how does one side of the body feel compared to the other? Inhaling, right arm's going to lift up. Relax the right shoulder. Now, you might take your left hand to the seat of the chair, or you can always place it in your lap. Side bending now towards the left. Press your hips down into the chair, and as you do that, you might feel your belly tone. Inhale and exhale. You might touch the side of your body with your fingers just to kind of check out what it feels like to breathe in and out in a side bend. And then inhale, we rise back up. returning to neutral. This is seated mountain pose. So our posture in seated mountain pose, which is one of the benefits of yoga, is we get to think about our posture as we take this pause and move together with our breath. Our feet are parallel. Our shoulders are stacking over our hips. And as we angle our sit bones down, we might feel a little bit of toning in the belly. We draw the shoulders up and then exhale, feeling the blades coming together behind us. Without any squeezing or rigidity, trying to keep a certain softness in the body. From here, I'd like to show you cat pose and cow pose seated. I'm going to turn so that you can see my body as we curve the spine. On the exhale, bring your chin towards your chest as you lean back. You're going to feel your shoulder blades spreading. It feels really nice to stretch in this way. And then we inhale. You might press your palms into your thighs as your heart, the center of your sternum, lifts up towards the sky. Now we want to keep the back of the neck long here so the neck is not dropping or kinking back. Exhale, we round just like a wave. Inhale, we lift up. Exhale, we curl in, gazing at our navel. Inhale, we lift our heart. So this is very much like a pelvic tilt that you might have done before in another class or in physical therapy. We call it cat-cow because the spine is rounding one way like a cat, and then cow, the cow has a spine that kind of curves down. From here, let's take a twist. So we're going to extend our right leg, keep the left knee bent. And then you're going to take your right arm outside your left thigh. Your left hand can come behind you. It can touch the seat of the chair, or you can go to seat of the chair or the back of the chair, whichever is comfortable for you. Now on a twist, we inhale and we lift up through the spine, and then we exhale and we open up a little bit more towards the side. Now you do what's right for you in your body. You may find that you need to reduce the twist, that it's feeling like it's too much. Listen to the body, do what feels right for you, and you want to make sure that you turn your neck last so we don't crank the neck. Once you find that spot, take a breath in and a breath out, and then we return to center. Twists can feel really good. They're very helpful for digestion and moving around our organs that can get a little stagnant. Now we're going to extend the left leg as we turn towards the right. Now when you're extending the leg, you might press the heel down and pull the toes towards you. It's also absolutely fine to keep both knees bent and your heels under your knees. In fact, I will show it that way. So now left hand's coming outside the right thigh and the right hand is back behind us. We're going to press down through our sit bones, and as we do that, you might feel a little bit of toning through the belly. We breathe in, and it's though there's a string on the top of your head, and you just keep lifting upward even as you anchor your hips down into the chair. You press them down. The right shoulder opens up. The head turns last. Inhale and exhale. You might want to remain in a pose 3 to 5 breaths. You can always stay a little longer or come out of it. This is how you make the practice your own. And inhale, we return to center. For the next pose, I'd like to use the strap, or you can interlace your fingers underneath the thigh. So I'm going to show it both ways. The first way is to interlace your fingers underneath your thigh and push your thigh into your hands and your hands into your thigh. You then extend the leg. Now your leg can be up or it can be down on the earth. You get to make that decision. pulling the toes towards you as you press the heel away. Now this same pose can be done with the strap. We can place the strap around our foot, and it's nice to cross the strap. That gives you a little bit more leverage. Also, you lift your shoulders up and back and try not to take stress into your leg. Again, the leg may be lower or lifted. You don't need it to go any higher than hip height. We'll take a breath in and out and feel the sensation of the stretch, where you might feel this is behind the leg, behind the thigh, behind the calf. Then we can externally rotate. So we turn our knee and our toes out to what would be about 1 or 2 o'clock. And then we take maybe 3 breaths here. Breathe in and feel the sensation of stretching. Exhale out through the nose. And then slowly toes rise back up, and exhale, lower the leg down. So the other side, I'll do without the strap. We inhale and we lift the left knee in towards us, interlace the fingers underneath, press the foot away from you. You can try even spreading your toes and try to remain upright. There's a tendency to lean back, but that can place some stress on the spine and on the hip flexor. So try to remain upright on your sit bones, right in the center of your sitting bones, your hips, as you press the leg away from you. Remaining for a few breaths. At first you may not feel the stretch, and then you might feel it intensify. You can always keep the knee slightly bent if it's too intense. And then we turn the leg out. So now it's going to about 10 o'clock on a round clock. Breathe in and breathe out. Inhale, toes return to center, and exhale, release the leg back down. I'd like to show you Warrior 2, and I'm going to show it both seated and standing, and you can make the decision how you'd like to practice it. So first, seated. And there are a few different ways to do this. So our right knee's bending out to the side. The left knee can be forward, or you can straighten the leg out to the side. Now you might use your hands to kind of wiggle and find the most comfortable spot for you. Some people like one leg to be more on the chair, and some like to be right in the center for balance. What we don't want to feel is any pulling or torquing on the knee. So if you know you have things going on your knee, it's best to keep the knee forward for this Warrior 2. Once we get the leg position, we stack our shoulders over our hips. Then we can gaze towards the front of the pose. The heel is under the knee. The knees are over the middle toes. Feel your feet press into the mat or the earth as you breathe in and you breathe out. We might lift our arms into T, softening the shoulders. Let's turn the palms upright and find a reverse warrior. Left arm lowers, right arm reaches up towards the sky. You might gaze at the fingertips, as long as that feels okay for your neck. Then we inhale, and as we inhale, we push down through our feet and our right thigh, and we return to center. Now, you can repeat this on the other side, or I will show you what it's like standing in case you are feeling like it's safe for you to stand and you'd like to get out of the seat for this pose. So, we can't have the chair in front of us and then go into the pose. So now we're on the left side, the knee bends over the heel. this is one way to keep your balance. And notice how I got a wall behind me, which is also a wonderful prop for yoga. It's very helpful to set up your pose near a wall. We can also place the chair to the side so that when we're in the pose, we can hold on to it like this. I'm going to continue like this just so you can see me and my legs. But notice how the knee is over the heel. We don't really want it to go any further. Now you might adjust your stance so that your feet come in a little bit for balance. And that's going to be a comfort level. As you get more comfortable, you might widen it. It's also extremely helpful to have the back foot angle slightly in. It helps balance. Same pose, a little bit different. I like to call it adaptive yoga, yoga in 3 dimensions. In a chair, standing, and on the mat. We'll gaze over our front shoulder. We might lift the back arm. We might lift the front arm. Now we're going to feel this in our thigh, because the thigh is, the quadricep is really working. The reverse warrior, if it feels safe, you may bring the right arm down and the left arm up. You might stay here for a breath and then slowly exit the pose. All 10 toes face forward, and we slowly walk our feet in towards each other. I'd like to show you now chair pose. Chair pose is a strengthening pose. So in yoga, we do poses that help stretch and poses that help strengthen. So for this pose, you go towards the edge of the seat, and you might, by the way, have a table or a countertop or another chair in front of you for balance. We're going to rock forward and back on the sitting bones. And you can have your hands on your thighs, or you might have your arms forward for momentum. Your hands may be on a chair in front of you, or you could be facing a wall. I'm actually going to show this pose in a few different ways with the arms. So let's start with hands on thighs, and this may be your pose. The idea is that we are going to lift off. Our belly's going to tone, but lifting doesn't mean that your hips are going super high off the chair. It may be a millimeter, a centimeter, a few inches. That's going to be up to you and how you're feeling. It looks like this. So our sit bones go back, our knees are bent. I'm hugging a block, which can help very much for stability. You might take your arms forward, and then we can exhale, bring our hands back as we slowly lower down. Now you can do it without the block, but the block can be very helpful as your inner thighs hug it. And that can give you some stability, and you feel your strength, you feel your core working. We can also use a stick or a cane or a strap when we rise, and it also can be very helpful for momentum. So another way to do this pose, and I'm going to show it sideways so that you can see where the sit bones are as we rise. So we rock forward and back, and then we may lift up. The sitting bones go back as the spine reaches forward. The cane is really nice because my hands have something to grasp onto. The sitting bones are back, the weight goes to the back of the heels. We might lift our heart, and the arm bones may lift with it. Now, of course, we're going to feel this in our thighs. They are working. You can take a breath here. You can slowly lower down and take a pause. Breathing in and breathing out. And you might try it one more time. Maybe, and maybe not. So I'm going to show you cat-cow in this pose just for fun, but you could do any of the variations that we have done, or maybe you've already thought of one on your own. So we might lift off, hands on thighs. We can round the spine, and we put 2 poses together, cat pose, and then cow pose with the spine as the sit bones are back. And then we might take the arms forward, And then we're going to slowly lower back down to our seat. Now everybody loves tree pose. So let's do tree pose. I'm going to show it seated and then standing. And you can try both. You can repeat it. You can take a pause. Let's see which one you like best. So for tree pose, we're going to let the right leg be the foundation leg, and the left foot is going to push into the ankle with the toes up like this. Or you might put your foot on a second chair, or we can bring the foot up here. Now the leg, or another option, there's always so many with adaptive yoga. The options are endless. You might place your foot on a block so that the leg comes up, and you can move the blocks a little wider. So we're getting a little bit of opening through the thigh. This is a balance pose, and for many, this is quite enough. You might lift one arm towards the sky or both hands upwards. You might let your tree blow in the wind. And then inhale, return to center. And exhale, release the palms to heart center and do the other side. So you can choose to do any of the variations I just showed you, or you might come to standing. And again, we can place the chair in front of us. You can be against a wall, which is super helpful. I'm going to place the chair to the side so that you can see me. And here is one variation. So now I'm standing on the left foot, and the right foot might come to the ankle. You want to make sure the standing knee isn't locking. So it's got a little bit of softness behind there. And then feel your foot press into the earth. At the same time, you want to feel your right foot push into your left ankle. The left ankle and shin is pushing into the foot. So there's this pushing into each other. Now you could have one hand or two hands on a chair in front of you. We stand here. Now there's a little trick in yoga, which is to find a spot that's not moving and stare at it about horizon level. So find that spot, and then you might take one arm up. You might take both arms up and play. We have to look at yoga and these poses as play. And in Sanskrit, which is the language of yoga, there's a word called lila, and it means to play. We're all going to come out of the pose eventually, and we just want to have a little fun with it, come out of it, and maybe try it again. So make sure you've done both sides. You can also pause the video to take a break and then come back and join when you're ready. So doing tree on both sides, and then we'll return to seated. So we'll go back to our mountain pose. Let's lift the right knee up, circle the knee around and about. We're going to go into gentleman's pose, otherwise known as number 4 pose, a few variations of course. One is to go back to very similar to tree pose. It's a hip opener. Another one is to place the ankle over the knee, as long as that feels okay for you. It's really not on the knee, it's just above the knee. And if it feels like too much like bone on bone, you could stick a like washcloth underneath there to soften it. Then I like to rock right and left to feel both sit bones even. Sit up tall. You can place one hand on the knee or the thigh and the other hand on the foot. And we're going to do the yoga handshake. So placing a finger in between toes. It might be a few fingers and it might be several fingers. Whatever feels okay to your foot. This is the yoga handshake. And then you may circle the ankle around and about. The feet are extremely important. They are our foundation. Then we lift tall. Let's lengthen forward. When you start to feel a sensation either on the inside of the thigh or the outside of the hip, stop, take a pause. As long as it feels okay, stay here. If it's too intense, then come out of it a little bit. As you stay in it, you might go a little bit more. Now we want to make sure our hips don't lift off the chair, so press them down and press the standing leg down. That is your left foot on the mat. Take a breath in and a breath out, and inhale and rise up. Release the leg. For the other side. Lifting the left knee, give it a big hug, circle it around and about, and then find the variation that's right for you. Placing the ankle over the thigh or the foot down and pressing foot into ankle, ankle into foot. You might have your hands at your hips as you lean forward. Or if the leg is above, then you can do the yoga handshake and place your fingers inside the foot. Really good to play with our feet and our toes and bring some space in between them. Our toes are important too, very important. They help our balance. They help us walk. A little gratitude for our toes. One hand on the knee, one hand on the foot, as we slowly lean forward until we feel the hip stretch. You can press your hand into your foot and your foot into your hand. It's helpful to gaze forward and down to keep the back of the neck long. Soften the belly. Breathe in and feel the belly expand. Exhale out through the nose. We can press down through our standing leg, the right foot, and lift back off. For our final pose, we're going to do a twist, and then actually Shavasana, resting pose, is a final pose. So one more twist. Turning towards your right, you might take your hands to the back of the chair, lift tall, and exhale as you turn. Your hands can be on the back of the chair. The elbows can relax down. As you breathe, feel this expansion across your heart, across your collarbone. Inhale, return to center, and exhaling the other way. So we find our mountain pose. Slowly turn from the navel up, clasp the hands on the chair. Feel length through the spine as you push the feet down. Breathe in and breathe out. Inhale, return to center. So at the end of the yoga practice, it's customary to have what we would call a relaxation pose. And this is a time for the body to seep in all the work that you've done, the breathing, the poses, the stretching and the strengthening, the playing with balance, the fun, the leela, and the calm that hopefully is coming into your nervous system. This is a hand mudra called Lotus Mudra. A mudra is a hand position. It actually can be a yoga posture as well. So we call this Lotus Mudra. And as we practice this relaxation pose, let your hands come into the Lotus Mudra and perhaps gaze in toward your palms and think about something that brings gratitude to mind. What are you grateful for? Gaze into your lotus, and it might be more than one thing, and of course you're welcome to bring these to mind as you contemplate gazing at your lotus that's in front of your heart. You might soften your eyes. Release the lotus Allow your palms to face upwards, relaxing the fingers and the toes, the feet. With each exhale, you might say to yourself, let go. Letting go of any tension or holding in the body. Focusing on the lower legs, the knees, the upper legs, the hips, the spine, the belly, the shoulders. Letting go. Inhaling, let. Exhaling, go. Focusing on the upper arms, the lower arms, the hands and fingers, the neck and the head, the tongue resting on the upper palate, the jaws, the little space in between them, eyelids soft, skin relaxed on your face, whole body relaxing. This may be the most important pose of the practice. Breathing naturally, following the flow of the breath as the air comes in and out through your nostrils. Belly breathing, nostril breathing. We call it low and slow and soft. You can remain in your relaxation pose as long as you desire. And at home, you might even put your feet up on a second chair or a cushion. As we end our yoga practice, we bring our palms together in front of our heart. We gaze in, expressing much gratitude for this mind, this body, this spirit, and of course, for the Parkinson Foundation. Thank you so much to the Parkinson Foundation for inviting us to participate in this PD Health at Home Fitness Friday video series. If you'd like to learn more about Yoga Moves MS, please go to yogamovesms.org. We offer daily virtual adaptive yoga classes, both in the chair. Some are mixed with standing and on the mat, and breathing and meditation classes. I hope to hear from you soon. The light in me honors and bows to the light in you. Namaste.